getting slapped out in number.
You got slapped
You
out
was
in
getting
number.
slapped out in number. I asked about you. I asked about you. I asked about you. Look, he mad as shit. I asked about you.
You got slapped out in number. We asked about you.
You was getting slapped. You was getting slapped. Then the Asian bitch, you keep putting your hands on me. If you weren't no female, I would encourage you. Or my grandmother. Or my grandmother. You would never, if you wasn't a female, I would encourage you. On Jaquan. You was a hoe. You was getting slapped.
Watch out.
You was getting slapped. You was getting slapped in school.
I told you do
You was
something
getting
already.
slapped in school.
I told you
You
do
was
something
getting
already.
slapped in school.
I'm really him.
You was, no, you're not. You're a police officer. You're really a police officer. You talking about you really him? You really a police officer. You're really a police officer. You're really a police officer. Nigga, you talking about you really? You're really a police officer. Nigga, you talking about you really him?
Okay, let me go back on the record. This is on the top of my page 5, State versus Portland. And afternoon, put the deadline as to whether or not
What are you talking about?
you accept the state's offer or not. We're set to go with jury selection tomorrow morning. So Mr. Haddad or Mr. Nascimento, we're going forward to change your plea this afternoon.
What the fuck? Well, better do.
And state, is it the same terms that you discussed previously? Is there anything different?
No, Your Honor, that has changed. It's correctly reflected on the forms.
So the pre-forms to me look like on the 19 case as to the 2 counts of accessory after the fact as well as to all 4 counts in the 23 case. These are going to be adjudications, 10 years Florida State Prison followed by, that's a 6 years probation?
That's correct.
6 years probation.
Oh.
All counts are run concurrently, all sentences run concurrently. Another,
Oh,
looks
shit.
like, there's no restitution in the 23 case. In the 19 case, I'm reserving.
I need somebody to talk over this. I don't understand. Trying to see if Melly gonna get out, bro.
Mr. Henry, I'm not quite sure how your lawyers managed to do this, but
The judge is even shocked. Like, how this guy was facing 5 life sentences.
I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
I mean, they gotta know that he's gonna testify, right? That's the only way this works. The state wants a proffer. The peace sign at the camera. Bro's like, hey, see ya, Melly? You're cooked, but I'm out. YNW Portland just took a no contest plea that changes everything for Melly's trial. Today, he has to give the state a proffer. And in Melly's trial, he will testify and be asked, quote unquote, a couple questions. Portland just got the greatest plea deal of all time. The state doesn't care about him, they only care about Melly. They didn't want to go to trial separately and show the strategy to Melly's lawyers. I got destroyed over the weekend for saying he was going to take this plea and testify, and that's what's happening. Holy shit, here we go. Will he take the plea? He's got to, right, bro? 16 years. He's got to do it. He's facing 5 life sentences. He's going to do it. I've been thinking about it the whole weekend. He's been thinking about it the whole weekend. He's taking this plea. Look at him. He better take this plea. This lawyer's like, you sure? You taking it, right? There's Portland's lawyer, Haddad. Why am I getting the vibe that he's taking this plea? Like, it's already happening. So they're going to ask him. By the way, the state did not want to go to trial on this week. I don't think they were even prepared to. So they're probably offering him this just because of that, by the way. But they also just only want Melly. They don't give a shit about Borland. I just don't see.
Bro, they don't got
taking
enough
this too big of a
evidence,
deal.
bro. I feel like they don't got enough evidence.
Is this negotiations right now? Why are they whispering to him? They were just talking to the state. Are
They
we
don't
watching
have
TV?
enough evidence on Melly to lock
That's
him
what
up.
we're watching. Melly.
State, are you ready for me to go on the record? State, you ready for me to go on the record? All right. Okay, let me go back on the record. This is on the top of my page 5, State versus Cortland Henry, 19-1871 CF10A and 23-10643 CF10A. So I had set this afternoon for the deadline as to whether or not Mr. Henry wanted to accept the state's offer or not. We're set to go with jury selection tomorrow morning. So Mr. Haddad or Mr. Nascimento, we're going forward to change your plea this afternoon. And state, is it the same terms that you discussed previously? Is there anything different?
No, Your Honor, that has changed. It's correct.
He's taking it. I fucking knew it, dude. Everyone on TikTok and YouTube were frying me. They were saying he's not going to take it, and the terms have changed. I got called a fed about 50 times for saying he's going to take it, and he's going to snitch. I'm telling you.
So the preforms to me look like on the 19 case as to the 2 counts of accessory after the fact as well as to all 4 counts in the 23 case.
Oh, Melly
You're going
is.
to state your full name. How old are you? How far did you go in school? Do you read and understand the English language? Are you presently agreeing with the neighbor's mistake? Before the deal, 10643 charge, that's a second-degree felony. 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation. In the unlawful use of a two-way communication device, that's a second-degree felony. The maximum exposure. It's the second as charged, I believe. It's a third, except as it relates to a capital case. But I'm happy to
Our
look it up.
have those heard that we discussed, so.
Well, what did you want the negotiated sentence to be?
He got down to 10 years. He has at least 2 years credit time served. And I'm pretty sure you do like 85% of your sentence in Florida. That's what I've seen before. What's 85% of 8 years? Like 6 years, 6.5 years?
All right, so sir, as to that count, it's going to be adjudication of 5 years in Florida State Prison. So the two accessory counts as well as the temporary count, those come with 6 years of reporting probation after the Department of Corrections sentence.
You can scroll through.
So I want to be very thorough with you here this afternoon because if you wake up tomorrow or the next day and you decide you changed your mind and you want to resolve this case, both cases, by way of a jury trial, that's not going to happen. All right? If you want to have a trial, the trial starts tomorrow. If you want to accept the deal, you can accept the deal today. But there's not going to be any buyer's remorse, in other words, because I've given you plenty of time to think about this, talk to you, threaten you, or coerce you into entering these pleas. If I accept your pleas, there will not be a trial in either one of these cases. Do you understand that? If I accept these pleas, there's a whole bunch of constitutional rights you are giving up. I want to make sure you understand all of those rights. You have the right to maintain your plea of not guilty and have a trial in each case. You have the right to present defenses, to file motions and other pleadings in support of your defense. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to confront and cross-examine the witnesses against you. You have the right to appeal any decisions that I may have made up to this point or any rulings I might make in a future trial. By entering this negotiated resolution today, you are giving up all of those rights. The matter is going to be resolved today, right now, this afternoon. Is that what you want to do? Are you satisfied with your lawyers? Have you had enough time to speak with them? Have they answered all your questions? Are you satisfied with all the work that they have done for you? Sir, I've got two identical plea forms here entitled Plea of Guilty or No Contest to Criminal Charges in Circuit Court. Each one has your name on the top, your initials on the left-hand side, front and back, and your signature on the back. Did you go over both of these forms? Any questions about what's on either of these forms? And is that your signature on the back of each form? Sir, paragraph 11 of each form that you signed reads as follows. I acknowledge that my attorney and I have reviewed any discovery disclosed by the state. My attorney and I are unaware of any physical evidence for which DNA may exonerate me. In other words, sir, if there's any physical evidence in the case that we could test for DNA, that DNA evidence would not tell me that you were not one of the people in that vehicle when these crimes occurred. But actually the opposite would be true. If there was any such physical evidence that could be tested for DNA, that DNA evidence would tell me that you were one of the two people that was inside this vehicle when these crimes occurred. Sir, do you agree with that statement? State, do you agree with that statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense, do you agree with that statement? Mr. Henry, understanding everything that I have talked to you about, up to this point with a witness in a capital felony, and count 7, unlawful use of a two-way communication device, how are you going to plead, sir? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? I will accept your no contest pleas as to each. I'm going to find a factual basis to support each based upon my review of each, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison. That will be followed by 6 years of reporting probation. I will impose mandatory court costs. Pursuant to 943.325, I will need a set of your prints and DNA. Pursuant to 938.27, both cases will run concurrently. That is at the same time with each other. I will give you credit for all the time that you have served.
All the time served? He been in jail for a long time, bro.
I'm looking at the plea forms. The 23 case, they have 707 days credit for time served. In the 19 case, 1,340 days credit for time served.
He has 5 years credit time served. He got bail at one point, so I wasn't sure how long he was out. He's going to be out in a few years. If it's a 5-year sentence and then you serve it like 85% of it, he's going to be out in 3.5 years. The state does not give a fuck about this guy, bro. They only want of a lifetime. The peace sign at the camera. Haddad spoke to the media after this. Feel good for the kid. I've been on this case 6 years. It's a fair resolution for him. The state was fair. Yeah, more than fair, brother. He gets 1,000 days and the other one he gets 700 days. On the message this sets for Melly, there's no message that I see. There are two different people, two different cases. Facts are different for both. Bottom line is Bo testified on what Bortland left to do, and will he have to testify against Melly? A couple questions, that's it. He's not going to be a witness. Oh, this is worse than what Gunna did. This is way worse. They're trying to say it's a no contest plea. He's not admitting guilt. He's going to have to give a statement and YNW Bortland will not be testifying against Melly in this trial. Bortland's lawyer has come out and said, I don't represent snitches. Cortland Henry is not a snitch, and he will not be cooperating or testifying in YNW Melly's trial. Anyone who claims differently has not seen the plea deal and has no idea what they're talking about. So yeah, I was wrong. My apologies. I misread the report initially. I commented on my video trying to clarify that I was wrong, that he's not testifying. This is Bradford Cohen, a lawyer that represented Melly initially in this case. He's represented a bunch of rappers, a lot of famous people, I think even like Trump. This is one of the first videos I saw about the situation, so I was like, oh, Bortland's snitching.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortland. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double murder case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held in this case.
A lot of these Instagram and Twitter pages.
Plea this afternoon went viral on social media. It's clear that a lot of people just don't understand what has happened.
A lot of these Instagram and Twitter pages also report this shit without even correcting themselves at all. It's really bad. They can just spew anything and not correct themselves.
By talking about what he was charged with, he was facing 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of
I gotta look up.
act of first-degree murder,
Send me a link
tampering with a witness,
of the Young
conspiracy
Thug
to
situation. I don't really know about the
directing the
situation. I ain't
activity
been
of
looking at it.
and utilization
Oh,
of a two-way
damn.
communication device to commit a felony. In all, he was facing 5 mandatory life sentences if found guilty, plus an additional 75 years on top of that. The facts
Yeah,
of his
send
plea
it to
are
me, bro.
that he has pled no contest.
Put a link in the chat for me.
It's very important because that means he has not admitted guilt. He's not admitted that he's done anything wrong, and he's certainly not admitted or given information.
See, when we heard the word proffer, that's what scared me, because proffer is like you're giving a statement to the government. Even if it's just a couple questions, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I think he clarifies it right here.
He's been found guilty, but in exchange, the state has dismissed the 2 murder counts, the conspiracy to tamper with a witness count, and the charge about directing the activities of a criminal gang.
By the way, the state did this because they didn't want to go to trial first before Melly. They were like, fuck, we don't want to take him to trial separately before Melly.
He's going to be sentenced to 10 years in Florida State Prison, followed by 6 years of probation with credit for time that he has served.
A lot of confusion about his sentencing. Clearly, he just said 10 years, he already has credit time served, and he has 1,700 days credit time served, which is like 4.5 years, so do the math. And then apparently in Florida, you only do 85% of your sentence. He'll be out in like 4 to 5 years, if I were to guess.
Typically, when you hear the word proffer, especially in a criminal case, it's when a witness
We shouldn't have used that word. When I
used that word today in court because that's not what's going to happen in this case.
So, okay, he's kind of saying, I understand why y'all are thinking a proffer is him going to give up information. We shouldn't have used that word. When I've heard proffer in other cases, like the murder of XXX Tentacion, the YSL trial, I heard proffer a lot. Like, that's when they're snitching, bro. That's what that word means. So,
Bortland is not going to sit down and give a lengthy proffer or answer questions about what he would testify to if he were called as a witness. Because we don't anticipate him being called as a witness at any trial or any hearing, especially not one involving Melly.
that's another thing I misread. I thought when his lawyer was asked a couple questions initially that he meant on the stand. I misinterpreted it or something. I don't know what I did. I guess I'm fucking dyslexic.
What I can tell you,
Only happens when the state doesn't want you. They want your friend. They don't care about you because he's not the one that pulled the trigger. They want Melly because they think he's the trigger man. You know what I mean? Which a lot of evidence does point to Melly being the trigger man. Although it is circumstantial evidence, convictions can still happen on circumstantial evidence without a murder weapon ever being found.
I anticipate his proffer are going to hurt Melly in some way and affect his trial. His case is ready for trial. Because our anticipation was that Melly's case would be tried before Bortland's. However, the judge denied our request for a continuance and denied our request to stay Bortland's case pending Melly's appeals into this case or any other case. It was an
Seen when someone's snitching on someone else that is charged with double murder. Apologize. Yeah, I had to correct this. Hit subscribe. Love you, boys. Peace out, man.
So Young Thug had a problem. While he was in jail awaiting his RICO charge, he made a couple phone calls. Now, these phone calls have been leaked. That's his problem. Because in these phone calls, he's talking to a lot of people about a lot of things. And he believes that they're private phone calls, so he's sharing his private conversations. And think about yourself. Think about private conversations you've had in the past when you're talking to somebody really, really close to you. Some of that audio you don't want leaked out. Well, in Young Thug's case, he's talking about some very sensitive information, like he got no care in the world. Now, to go a little deeper, there's actually two aspects to Young Thug's problem. Listen to this next part closely. There are the jail leaks that we just talked about, and there's another leak. Now, why I call this two separate incidents is because they happen at separate times, okay? All the jail calls that were leaked happened when he was facing his RICO charge, okay? The other leak where he's talking to police happened way before he was arrested for a RICO charge. That's important. Now, during the jail calls, he's just a little gossipy. Remember, he talking to his friends, his homies. He really think, you know, hey, this ain't gonna get out. So he basically saying stuff like, Gucci Mane, maybe he's soft. He's saying, now, keep in mind, a lot of this stuff is clipped. And why I say that is because specifically for the Gucci Mane example, I'm telling you, the clip going around is Young Thug calls Gucci Mane soft. But honestly, there's a little more to it than that. Young Thug is more or less saying Gucci Mane was mad at somebody, Gucci Mane went to jail, Gucci Mane got out of jail, and he stopped being mad at that person. Gucci Mane is soft for not being mad at that person anymore. Maybe he went to jail and turned soft. Now, I bring that up not to defend Young Thug because he called him soft still, but I want you to understand that there's still more context to this stuff. It's not, he's just not straight up just coming out talking smack about people. You know what I'm saying? All that to say, most of Young Thug's jail calls are surrounding that. It's just, you know, he's been a little messy, nothing too crazy. Now, there's one call in particular that gives a little insight into Atlanta as a whole. Young Thug is speaking to his close friend 21 Savage. Young Thug is speaking about what Gunna did during the RICO trial. If you don't know what a RICO trial is, it's basically they gather up members of a group and they categorize the whole group as a criminal organization, okay? So they pull in Gunna, they pull in Young Thug, they pull in a bunch of people. They want to label them as a criminal organization. To label them as a criminal organization, you have to have people in that organization say this is a criminal organization. Now, usually in RICO trial, police and the feds, they're just going for the person at the top. This was created for the mafia. Savage brings up a very good point. He says, well, didn't you tell your brother to do the same thing as Gunna, to say YSL is a criminal organization so we can get 0 years? Young Thug denies this, but Young Thug actually did tell his brother to do that. So years. Young Thug denies this, but Young Thug
My brother would have rode the whole trip out, but when them guys took the plea, I told my brother to take it too. Niggas had just did 12 years, and I ain't want to put my mama through that again.
actually did tell his brother to do that. So it seems that Young Thug saw the reasoning as to why somebody would say it's a criminal organization, but he just felt hurt hearing Gunna say it. He expected more loyalty from Gunna. Now, I say this because remember in the beginning of this video, we said Young Thug basically has two problems. His jail calls were leaked, and an earlier recording of him talking to police were leaked. Well, people are basically saying, look, you're upset at Gunna for talking to police. Everybody was calling him a snitch. Young Thug, you calling him a snitch. But you was talking to police too. What's going on? Now, let's figure out what's going on together, because here's where things start to get wicked. Now, first things first, Young Thug's conversation with police is way before this RICO situation. This conversation is taking place because Lil Wayne's tour bus had just recently been shot up by a man named Pee Wee Roscoe. Basically, police were trying to connect some dots, okay? So they bring in Young Thug and they tell him, Young Thug, Tugga, as some may refer you as.
This nigga is chatting, bro.
They stress to Tugga that he does not need to speak to them. They stress this because they don't want all this information they have to be locked down later by a lawyer, saying Young Thug didn't have his lawyer present, all that. So they tell him, you don't have to speak to us. Young Thug says, they say, you really don't have to speak to us. They say it like 5 times, I'm telling you. Young Thug says, no, I want to. And this is when people say, oh, there you go, Young Thug. You could have just got your lawyer. You could have just walked out, which Young Thug absolutely should have done, because side note, police brought him in because his name, Young Thug's name, was connected to Pee Wee Roscoe, Lil Wayne, to the whole shooting situation. They already booked Pee Wee Roscoe. They already had evidence against Pee Wee Roscoe. They just wanted to see if they can get Young Thug too. The police kicked things off by being real cool, you know? Officer goes, man, I listen to your music. Thug goes, really? He says, yeah, man, you want some food? You hungry? Thug goes, yeah, I can use some food. He said, get my boy some food. That's Thugger. Nah, but seriously though, you know Pee Wee Roscoe? Thug goes, I mean, they said, write that down. Thug said, Officer said, no, don't worry about that. That's just a formality. And therein lies the issue. You see, the problem with Young Thug speaking to police and people speaking to police without lawyers present is because you don't know what the police are looking for. At this point, the police seem to be looking for a general framework as to what they wanted to work with. Of the goings on in
don't have
Atlanta,
decent
in a sense. To build a sort of a file. It's
well, you
hard
don't
to
got
know
perimeter
why
and
police are
fucking
asking
what you
certain
call
questions. For example, at one point, Young Thug seems to be trying to help Pee Wee Roscoe. He says, I thought Pee Wee Roscoe and Lil Wayne were close friends. And then I hear they are saying Pee Wee Roscoe had shot up Lil Wayne's tour bus. I was shocked. Young Thug. Roscoe ain't said that. They said, oh, I thought you ain't know. Young Thug said, they said, write that down. How can you speak to somebody that you don't know? What's going on? Write that down. Young Thug said, I ain't say that like I'm just saying he wouldn't say that. I just know he wouldn't say that. They said, cool. And that's the information police are looking for. That's why you need a lawyer. They're just fishing for connections. They say, hey, aren't you a part of a gang? Don't you say that in your songs? They know he's gonna say no. He says no. They say, all right, cool. We just thought we'd ask. Birdman, is he part of a gang? Young Thug says no. They said, cool. We just thought we'd ask. Now, all this to say, this is the game that Young Thug and police are playing during this call. At the end of the call, Young Thug says, hey, if y'all want to know any more information, just hit me up. But don't tell people that I spoke to you. And that is very important because it lends credence to the Young Thug snitching allegations. And he also knows his absent things were
this nigga's yapping, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Fuck this nigga. Thug ain't snitch, bro.
Except without that revenue, just shit-faced.
I would not. I still made good cheese too.
No, I should not be complaining.
See high support no matter what. Niggas don't be supporting for real, bro. I don't necessarily think he'll rap, bro. Wait, how the fuck I got 2 cap breakers? I support everybody, bro. I don't know how I got 2 cap breakers, bro. Get on my papa for what? My defense not upgraded. But if you want me to run on this nigga, I get it upgraded. I grind it if you want me to. Should I upgrade my speed? Cause I kept bringing my speed to fucking 77. And I get a 74 still. If I kept breaking, I'm just gonna wait. I ain't need no crew. Talk about gang. I can't upgrade this nigga. He's stuck at 91 right now. I literally will upgrade this nigga. Yeah, if I, that's why I said I grind on it if you want me to play on this nigga. I won't be playing on him. That's the thing. Hold on, let me see something real quick. How much? How close am I? Yeah, I gotta play my career. Nah, they don't take your cap breakers away, bro. Why I keep saying that? Not understanding. Let me actually read this shit. You see something? I go. Yeah, they do. They did. I seen it. Say you have attempted to apply a regular cap break on attributes you build such that you can boost. Because there are potential cap breakers for your build such as this. It may be the best to spend the entry. No. I'm not understand. How is this in my build capitalization if I'm rebounding? These are, I understand that. Did I get anything? Wait, why do on-ball pets go up for this? Yeah. Join what? I ain't get one. We can run rec if, cause I gotta finish getting my bills up. If you want to. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking to my chat. Where we going to theater or park? Give me a second, bro. Before y'all walk in, I gotta switch my monitor. Hey, what just happened to my camera? I gotta mute this nigga stream, bro. Wait, y'all ready? Let me change my clothes. Shoot.